Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Divinely Designed 21st Century Women, of which we are four of a usual eight. My name is Lindsay, and I am glad to be here with my friends Jenny, Tasha, and Michelle. And who we are missing tonight is Sochi and let me think, Leslie, Crystal, and Anita. So we want to thank you all for being here with us. We're going to liven up our dialogue, I think you're going to say, because we've got some very interesting things that we're going to lead in with. But we'll do that in a few moments. First, we're going to have Tasha open us in prayer, and then we will go from there. How about that? Yes, works for me.
Works for me too. Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight, Lord, and we just acknowledge you right now and just in the marvelous wonder that you are, God. You are almighty, all loving, all knowing, all powerful, majestic, and mighty. We love you, we worship you, and we gather in your name tonight, Father. And I just pray for every person right now, Lord, those that need to be on this tonight, need to see it in the future through the week, God, that you just, by your Spirit, just draw them, prepare their hearts to receive, prepare our hearts to share. Lord, just have your way tonight. Bring us together in one accord, Father, and your name be glorified in your works in your kingdom. And I just thank you for the opportunity. In your name, amen.
Amen. So, what we're going to do tonight, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. The first conversation that we have is going to be led by our own Michelle. Michelle was watching last week, and she posted some comments for those of us on the team here. She put them in our chat for if we need to review. But Michelle, I'm going to just go ahead and give you the mic. And hi, Miss Sheila. And you give you the mic. You go ahead and do the intro and let us know what your thoughts were. And we're going to welcome Sochi on board. And then we're going to be able to just hear the different things that you have to say. How about that? So take it away, Michelle. Hey, Soch.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Mrs. Williams. How are you? And great to see everyone. Hi, Monique, popping in there. Um, Glad you're on tonight, and everyone that will join us. As you ladies know, I was not here last week, but I watched the broadcast, and I had a couple of questions that I wanted to pose to um, the ladies, and I wrote it in our private discussion group, but I'm going to pose it out here to them again and to some of you out there who may find yourself in this area. The first question uh, I have was to the ladies. Have you mentally set a timetable that you expected your relationship or marriage to happen by now? This is based upon your conversation last week. That's question one. Again, have you mentally set a timetable that you expected your relationship or marriage to happen by? And then the second question is there a reservation or fear that God will not respond, answer, or grant what it is you are expecting or wanting? Again, I'll repeat it again, ladies. Is there a reservation or fear that God will not respond, answer, or grant what it is you are expecting or wanting? And again, this is in regards to relationships. So I'm throwing the ball up.
I'm going to laugh because I'm looking at my sister's faces, and the only one other than me that's bold enough to answer it is Jenny. So I'm going to yield the floor. Ha ha ha.
Okay, as to your first question, absolutely not. And I say that because until recently, I never imagined myself getting married again, period. So the idea of getting married again is kind of new to me. Um, so no, I don't have a timetable. I'm curious now. So um, you know, when you're curious, you want you want your curiosity satisfied. So, but at the same time, no, there's no timetable. It's because if God's doing it, it's going to be perfect in His time, and that's all I need to know. As to your second question, I mean, I'm kind of boring because as when I read it this afternoon, I kind of thought that I might have one, but I decided that was not smart. Um, and similar to you, Michelle, because I saw you and Ryan on the program, but that was the only thing I could think of. Is there something that and I was thinking, well, I'd rather it not be someone younger than me. Um, and then I was like, oh, don't set yourself up for if I say it, it may happen. So, honestly, no, I can't think of anything at this point because I mean, I'm still getting excited about the idea of because I see this as I mean, I know I'm supposed to be the one found, but the idea of a godly marriage is a gift from God that I'm wrapping my head around, and that's where I'm at. Somebody else got thoughts?
I was wondering, I was going to leave it for Michelle to have a response in between. So, go ahead, Michelle, because we know you got something to say.
I was kind of waiting for, everyone to come, especially with their response to see. But I will say to Jenny, yes, please take it from me. Don't tell God he can't be younger. Because I testified of how that worked. So um, that's the only response as of this moment that I have.
Well, I'll go next. And I think it's kind of funny. The first question that you posed was, have you mentally set a timetable that you expected your relationship or marriage to happen by? If I ever did, it was probably like about 15 years ago. And it really had to do with whoever I was in pseudo relationships with. Um, I've been celibate and what do you call, what is the other thing? I said basically unmarried for 27 years. But there have been men in my life on occasion. And at one time I was engaged, but he turned out to be very, very dangerous for me. And that was one day I'll tell you a story about the predators. But and then we was trying to do that pretty quick, and God did some awesome interventions, and so the whole thing just blew up, and that set me back for 7 years because I was emotionally I think all of the emotional damage I actually had came out. So came to a lot of it anyway. And so then moving forward, there were imaginary relationships, and that's where you think that he likes you more than he does, and it's mixed signals, a lot of mixed signals. And so again, I would project it to about a year or something, within a certain period of time. Main reason with me was because I've always felt that, yes, deal with the things that the counseling has, but then just go ahead and get in it. Whatever you guys got to work out, you're going to work it out together. And if you're waiting for the other person to be perfect, then it's not going to happen. And so fast forward, I'm not in anything. So when I thought about it, it would be like, well, it would really have to depend on the person and me. And I am not in a hurry, but nor do I see any reason to be going on and on and on and on year after year after year. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm not wounded that way. So I don't have the fears of, well, what if this happens or what if that happens? I think that conversation can get a whole lot of stuff out, and guarantees, or the only thing you can really guarantee is that God will never leave you or forsake you. I'm not a person that walks out on individuals, but when I was when it was either stay or die, I left. So that was the only thing. That's a long answer to a short question. So mentally, the timetable, no. Um, I would rather not have a mental timetable. I would say just be emotionally prepared for whatever happens. And as you see what the dynamics are, as I find out, I should say, what the dynamics are in the relationship itself, who he is, where he is right now, emotionally, et cetera, then I think that we will come to that. Hopefully it would be sooner, not later. And I'll address the thing too, Jenny, about whether he's younger or not. I learned a long time ago, most likely he is. So I don't care. I don't care. I can keep him young no matter what. So there's that. And then the other question you had, is there a reservation or fear that God will not respond, answer, or grant what it is that I'm expecting or wanting? No, I don't have that fear because I understand a couple things about who I am. Number one, I'm an end time wife. Meaning I'm not talking so much eschatology here, but I'm end time in the sense that for whatever the time is that he has left and I have left, we're in it together. And whatever it is that he was prophetically or I was prophetically told would happen and it didn't happen, because I had prophetic things that were told in the marriage I was in before, and it didn't happen because I'm not going to marry that man again. So, but there were things specifically towards me and things specifically toward him, I think. And I see the marriage that God has because the purpose of it is to bring forth the kingdom of God, which doesn't mean there's not going to be lots of love and lots of happy sex and lots of happy fun and all of the other kind of stuff, because this is not like we're in business and that's it. Not to me. There's a lot of affection. There's a lot of joy, but I'm an end time wife and I know that. And whatever it is that he's been called to fulfill, I have the imagination, the creativity, and whatever the skill sets are to work alongside of his to bring out whatever was it. So that's kind of how I see it. And if I were trying to create something for myself, yes, I would be afraid or concerned that God would never bring, because he's not going to. But I think I know God well enough to know that when I get his plan, his pleasure, his desire, that's exactly what he wants to fulfill. And I'm choosing every day to believe it. Even today, it was a rough one. It was like, God, every little attack you could come at you from every arena of everything, it was there. And it was like, well, I don't think I have time to feel sorry for myself. So I just did a pamper day instead, because it was just like, I'm not going to do this. So I'll yield. That's my thoughts. Thanks for asking these. I think these are amazing. And I want to just say hello. Good evening, Miss Diane. Thank you for joining us. And I saw Michelle's mother-in-law, Miss Delia. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we've already said hi to Miss Sheila and also Carlita and Miss Monique. Yeah, so everybody that's on, hello, ladies. It's all women. Are there any men out there? Are y'all out there? Do we know? Okay, anyway. I'll shut up now.
I'll take it next. I'll catch the ball next. So, and okay, have you mentally sent a timetable that you expected your relationship or marriage to happen by? No, I have not mentally set a timetable, but this is a very interesting question because I have actually been thinking about this most recently based on experience of having set a mental period of time and then being disappointed when it didn't happen. And then you go through this tailspin of expectations unmet and wounds and all those kind of things, which can hinder the path that God had for you. And so, thinking about things latter, what would I do differently in that situation is really, I've been thinking about it. It's, if the Lord called you to be together, do it. Don't delay. Do it. If you know that God brought the two of you together, then what is the question? Do it, because whatever you're going to go through together, and you're going to be able to have the intimacy that is due with you guys, that helps you through situations, that connection, because trying to get through those rough times without that intimacy, and I'm not saying that that's everything, but it does bring healing, and it makes the process of going through things, it makes you stronger, it bonds you together. And so I just been really doing a lot of thinking. I was like, okay, I've heard it said that there's no such thing as Christian dating, it's not healthy. but I've gone through this process of, a long period of time and not in courting and not entering into something out of fears and waiting for that person to be perfect, waiting for that person, when I see this, then I'll know, or when I see that, which really it that's not faith. It wasn't good. So I've actually thought about this. And so I thought, you know what? If I get this opportunity again and I hear clearly from the Lord, then I'm walking through and I'm going to trust God in the process. I'm not going to delay. I don't want to delay because I want to be married. I do, but I'm not desperate where it's like, oh, I can't wait to get married and I'm planning. No, when it happens, it happens. But there's been a lot of healing in all of this, and it's just like, how can I enter into this differently? How can I handle it differently? And so then the other question was, what was that? Is there a reservation or fear that God will not respond? So that's another interesting question, because I've purposed in my mind to quit looking at the things that I don't want and just look at the things that I want, because I'm going to attract what I want. I'm going to attract who I am and what's going to match my match for me. And so from the wounded place, I know I don't want this and I don't want that, and I'm never doing this again, and I'm not doing that again. And I'm like, okay, how am I ever going to get to the forward if I'm always looking backwards? So mentally, so no. So the fears, I just take those. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to sit here and fear about what. No, there is no fear, because his plans are good and he promises to perfect everything that concerns me. And yeah, there's going to be rough times and it could be hard, but you get to go through it together. And really those things are to sharpen ourselves, to sharpen us in that. And there's always going to be that opportunity in marriage. So I fight the fears. I can't say that I don't have any fear, if I'm being honest, but I'm in that process of taking that and switching my mindset on that. So how about you, Sochi?
Yeah, I guess that leaves me. Interesting, because my initial thoughts on the timeline were like, yes, it was the first time I got married. I expected it to be forever. And then being in a long-term relationship, I expected that to be forever because I'm not here to waste my time. So now it's like, doesn't matter what my timeline is because I'm not going to get it on my time. I'm going to get it on God's time. So I might as well just not think about it. And that's kind of where I spend a lot of relationship time, is like, I don't want to think about it because it doesn't do me good. I'll get in my head about things and start looking at what's wrong with me. And it's not a good path. I've gone down that path many times before, and I'm not doing that. So I try not to think about it, because it's like, okay, well, it'll just be when God wants it to be. And for as much as I want it or don't want it, it doesn't matter. So I'm learning to just like completely yield in a loving manner to what God wants, and try not to beat myself up in the process for not having, because my logic is like, well, why would you not want me to have that? Why is it not here? And then, and I just go down all these spirals that for a person with my temperament is not good. So I'm learning to just look at the better side of me and not take myself down those rabbit holes. Reservations on God not responding. No, I don't have reservations that he's not going to respond. He will respond. But it goes back to question number one: when? So I just kind of, to me, it's a loop. I could put myself in that type of a loop that I don't want to be in that type of a loop. So in answering the questions, I'll answer them, but it's not the most comfortable conversation for me to be having, because the conversation that right now I don't want to have, because it's like, I don't want to talk about what I don't have. And nothing wrong with asking the question, but it's just being transparent about it. It's like, yeah, not the conversations I want to be having, because it doesn't, I don't think it changes anything by me assessing where I am or how I'm thinking about certain things, and maybe it's avoidance. But yeah, that's kind of how I would answer those questions in the loving and honest answer.
I and thank you ladies for that. I even sharing from a personal place before I even got married, before coming to the place of understanding in part now what kingdom is, I did have reservations because I was, you know, um, younger and dealt with, you have those family members. Oh, your younger sister got married before you. When you get married, when you having children, and so they put all this weight on you. And then as I got older and really got free from that, because I did want children, but that was not the path the Lord had me go. Um, and so after being healed of those areas, um, there were things that, that didn't become the focus anymore. So there used to be, for me, there used to be a fear, because before it was like, God, I want children, I want to have this. And then there was all these things, but then, and there was a point of really needing to be made whole. And I was. So even at the point when um, we did marry, and it was still a possibility that I could have a child or children, it wasn't like in the forefront of my mind anymore. Like I honestly was made whole from those areas, or what, people wanted to put on me as a deficiency, of not having. But adding also, I I had a conversation this week um, with my brother. He posed a question, and I don't think, no slight to him, but I don't think he's up at this hour in order to watch our broadcast. And he was just asking a question. And so I will also add this to be number 3, and I will put it in the chat. But he said, can you be married or in a long term relationship and not be friends with that individual? And so I told him, absolutely, capital letters, absolutely not. It is not possible. And so, there was a discussion that we had, but there are sadly people out here um, of both genders, and I still don't understand how um Dr. Baker is talking about click brain. I'm trying to figure out how their brain actually works, because the conversation he posed it generally, because there are people out here who believe that you can be in a relationship or even married and not be friends. And it's it's a concept that it doesn't compute with me. I really don't see it. But that was the question he posed. So the question I am posing, and more so directly for even I realized even the years before, that the relationships I had been in, and I had been engaged before, there wasn't friendship. We thought there was, but um it was based strictly on, if I could say, it was based on eros and not phileo. And that's a problem. Now that we understand what the kingdom is, it's like there was no friendship, no brotherly kind of love. It was just based upon attraction. And so that's somewhat the question or statement that I'm putting out there, even for those who, whether married or not, even with what we're learning now, those that are married, are you friends with your spouse? And for those looking to be, have you thought about the friendship and we've discussed this in certain parts, but that's the next part that I wanted to add to this.
I want to say greetings to, I said, where are the men? And I see two names. So to Bert Cottrell and to Todd Watson. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining. Your comments probably will make it on the screen at some point. So we're really glad to have you here with us. And any other men out there, should we tag them? How many do I know? Um, anyway, Michelle, I love that question, but I can say, origins wise, we learned a lot of the stuff from movies and from books that we read, and many of the rom-coms, romantic comedies, and things of old, and even going back to, I'm sure the magazines still do it, but I haven't bought any of them in years. But the fashion magazines and the women's magazines, and there was always conversation about that, especially once the sexual revolution started to take place. And well, I guess, but that dialogue, and even turn of the century, if you want to go historically, marriage was a business. Marriage was there was a purpose to it. And especially the wealthy people, and this is every culture, it was done to expand an alliance. It was done to expand the territory. And so it was a business. This daughter, a lot of times people were born, and as they were born, they were already betrothed. And so this is the way things were going to be. And it wasn't until you could look, it's always been 11th century, 9th century, those, when you look back at those times, again, marriages, there were, again, alliances, this country, this clan with that clan, or family, whatever it happened to be. And the daughters many times were sold into marriage. One was bringing this type of dowry, and there was just a whole lot. That's probably one of the reasons why relationships, I really enjoy researching them. But one of the things that I think was key to all of this is the fact that love was not an option. Love was, and you'll think about Shakespeare and him writing Romeo and Juliet. And so the feud even between the two families, and the fact that the young people were in love, was just not, it did not matter. Love could drive you mad if you read another Shakespeare, and, the madness of it all. And so it was safer to just be with your spouse. That was business, and affairs were to be conducted discreetly. And she wasn't free to have an affair in many cases until she had given birth to the heir and the spare. So those were kind of some of the in some cultures. And so those are some of the dynamics. It wasn't thought of to have a spouse as a friend. It wasn't considered to be necessary to do so. And so when the idea of it started to be promoted, and people want to, we say it's biblically based, but I actually don't see it even there. It's not actually, I mean, it might be there, and I'm not the kingdom theologian, so I'm not the one, but I'm open to hear, the research, because I find it interesting. But the law of love is the thing. And as you said, you mentioned so phileo, storge, eros, the different types of love that we read about, and we know that eros is romantic love. It's the sex, it's the attraction, it's the lust factor in many cases. People were afraid that they will, and remember this, you've read it, you've seen it. I want to date him or her, but I don't want to lose my best friend. And so they equated as separate. I could not possibly be attracted to my best friend because, if my best friend is the opposite sex, and I would love to be with them because I want to find somebody just like them. But if I marry them, then we will lose the friendship. And that's what they're afraid of. And so I think it's a fear that is societal. I think that it's something that, I don't know what you all, I mean, I think that all of these fears and even the pressures, like to what Sochi was saying, it's not a conversation I want to have. And so there's that other part of me, as your friend says, okay, well, what conversation do you want to have? And when did you start backing off? Because it's like, okay, then let's go deal with the hurt thing. And let's go ahead and deal with the disappointment thing and all the crap that's wanting to turn it into bitterness, or wanting to turn it into you or me or whoever it is being derailed. You see what I mean? And that's me as that person, but that's not, that's not the issue. And so, bottom line of what I'm saying is the fact that friendship is something. It's a relationship. It is a factor in the relationship, and I think these couples get to decide if they want to be friends or not. That's up to them, because how do you define that? A friend is one that sticks closer than a brother. Well, every spouse is not loyal, as Latasha was saying, because y'all still coming in there with, your issues. My ex and the other ex and the other ex and ex infinitum. They did me wrong here. They did me wrong. I got 10 country western songs that connect to, or R&B songs, or whatever whatever floats your boat. I got smooth jazz that speaks directly to this type of situation right here. Okay, so no, even church songs that sing about the love I lost was a sweet love, and I'll never fall in love again. I mean, I can go, because I like oldies and stuff, and so I could come up with probably 10 songs. Apostle Michael Fram, happy birthday. I don't think he's watching tonight, but he would be chiming in right about now, with song titles. So that's the factor. For me, I can't say, except for, of course, I can say I'm his bestie. I'm his best friend right now. I mean, that's all I am. I'm predisposed to be his best friend. I got you, boo. I'm in your corner. That's the way I am. But what if he doesn't know how to do that? See, he may not know how to do that. And we put these expectations on people. Well, I'm going to be your best friend and you're going to be my best friend. Well, what does it mean to be your best friend? It means that you have to be this, that, and the other. Well, who gives you the right to write the rules? That's my definition of what a friend is. So all I can do is be my definition and let him be his. And he will be my friend no matter what. Now, he'd be my best friend because I say he's my best friend. He may not be the best at being my friend, but he's still going to be. And I may not be the best at being his, according to his rules and regulations. And, chapter 2, section 5, you violated the code because you like this color or you like this kind of music. I don't know if we can be friends or not. I'm being nonsensical because I've made my point. And now I'll yield. Go ahead, Geneva. I saw it.
You knew I was coming behind you. Okay, so first of all, yes, you can, because I was twice. Married for 5 years one time and almost 20 years the second time. Now, did I think at some point that we were friends? Absolutely. But I found out that I was mistaken. My expectations for the anticipated marriage, I don't think we will be, because when it comes, it's going to come and it's going to go fast, and we won't have time to establish a friendship beforehand. So will we become friends? Absolutely. But no, we won't be friends before we get married, because there won't be time for it.
That sounds like a bold statement. Go, Jenny. Go, Jenny. That's awesome. I love this. And, I too have had 2 marriages. Not that that's, I just put it out there because I'm speaking from experience. So, marriages that a marriage that I thought, I agree with you, Lindsay. Like when you say I was a best friend to the degree that I was allowed to be, or whether he wanted to be a best friend to me was different, so you give and you give and you give, and it was what it was, but then, in my last courtship, that I never experienced friendship like that. Like it was really amazing, the courtship and the friendship that we have, and we still have it. I'm not courting right now, but the friendship that we continue to have, and it's really like something I've never experienced it with a friend. I mean, like you could just laugh. You just laugh. It doesn't matter what you do. On my worst day, on my best day, my goofy days, my bad days, my bad attitude days, just to be able to laugh. And it's actually quite funny. But to be able to experience that, I think it's very special. And it's definitely something that I want to have in my marriage. I think it's very important that you're able, I mean, I didn't know what true friendship could be like. And so, yeah, I mean, you have no control over what the other person brings into the relationship. You really don't. So true friendship is to be able to be unconditional and love them through the hard times and the good times, the bad times, and be the example of what you want and teach them. I had to come up in my level of friendship and my comfort level, what I was comfortable with and what I wasn't comfortable with. I'm not comfortable in farting in front of you. I'm sorry. I'm not. You may be in front of me, but I'm not in front of you. But then over time, those kind of things can change. I know that's kind of graphic, but it's funny. That's a freedom that I have actually learned to be. That was something that was always just so, oh my gosh, oh, are you kidding? I was married for 10 years and I never farted in front of the man. I never did. I never did. It was something that is so private and I will never do that. Nope. And you cannot come in the bathroom when I'm in there. Nope. The door is shut. Get out. But when you can be that free with somebody and it's funny, it is just funny. That is, to me, that is friendship. That is like the epitome of like, okay, you see, those are the funny things. So I think it's important. I think it helps you through the hard times. So I'll be quiet now that I completely exposed myself.
All right. Yeah, being a friend, I think, is very important. Um, to me, that would fall with self dignity. So I'm with you. It's like there's certain things I just won't do. It's just and I'll still be a great friend, but I'm not doing certain things. And so but yeah, it's like in thinking about the friendship part of a relationship, that's the foundation. And I could see how people in the world can blow that off or see it as being different in a relationship. It's like I have heard that in the past from people of the world that do say that say, oh, it's like, once you become friends, then you can't have what you had in the past. And so they choose not to be friends. So yeah, so I think just having that friendship is very important to get you through those tough times, because there are days, like, Pastor Lanzine, the little bit she shared today, is like you have those days where it's like it's just coming at you from everywhere. And so to be able to like turn to someone that's going to make you laugh or is going to lighten things up or shift that perspective is beautiful, because that's what friends do. Whether that friend is the man or a woman friendship, is like those are critical to have, because that's where we were able to be there for someone else and be ourselves and cheer them up and remind them of who they are, and that these are just situations and circumstances that are trying to break them from who they are, and they're stronger than that, and we're there to remind them, as like, no, this is who you are, and we get to laugh and we get to have fun and we get to play and we get to go celebrate and we get to be there for each other.
I like that. And just saying one more thing, and I will be done with my questions. But one, I guess time will change that. Latasha, trust me, time will change that. Um, there is a it's something that we learned, even with what you said, Jenny, like going in, because I don't want to make it seem like there's no attraction when you first meet, because that's where it started. And even many conversations back, it was excuse me, it was the way Ryan looked excuse me, and the way he was built that attracted me. It wasn't that I was looking for a friend, we had to become friends, and we became friends. And one of the things that he cracks me up now, certain days, and he cracks me up the way he says it. He may not say I love you every day, but certain days he'll come and he'll say, I like you. And so it cracks me up the way he says it. And I'm like, I like you too. And so, but like it's seated in love, even though we're talking about I'm on a HP laptop, so my hearts won't come forward. It's with iPhones and Macs, but nevertheless, yeah, but it was something we grew into, and so now it's like our banter with one another, and so it cracks me up that that's something we do, and it's kind of our thing. But it's something you grow into. You like it wasn't a fact that I could say, that I was his friend or his best friend or vice versa when we first got married. But now we both can say it because it took time to build that. Um, uh, even like Lonzine said a couple weeks ago, the odors and everything. It's something that you'll grow into, and I know you said you didn't for 10 years, but I think with the right one it will be totally different. And so because having been in a form of healthcare and taking care of people, like we'll have to be able to see the ugly stuff and smell the stinky stuff, if it, God forbid it ever gets to that point where we'll have to do something, some care. So we'll have to deal with, the smell goods and the smell bads. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, Sheila Williams, she said, yes, you will, Pastor Hanson. That was good, Sheila. That's good. One of the things that you said that you had, I remember when you and Ryan were on the broadcast as well, and you were talking about you had out of everything that God gave you, he gave you what you liked as far as the physical. And for many people, that was the thing. That was my fear for the longest time, because I had been in all of these incomplete kind of pairings where the physical requirements were all on my side. I had to be a certain weight, a certain size, look a certain way, and all that other stuff. And man, I struggled for years trying to fit these people's image, and it never did work. And I remember a guy, he's a friend of mine, and he had come up to me, this is probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And he says, you know what, if you would just, and he started to tell me about how I looked, if I would just change the way I looked, he said, and he got the famous stop, and y'all know this one. And I wonder if I'm going to get a sign. 2 fingers is supposed to bring balloons, I think, or something like that. There they are. Okay. But he got the 1 finger and wasn't bringing balloons. I said, stop. And he looked at me. I said, no. You see, never again. Because what I had learned through all of those relationships was how not to accept myself. And because there was always something wrong with me. When the relationship went sour, it was because I didn't look right, because I didn't fulfill his, and nobody was getting nothing, but fulfilling the arm candy image and all of that other kind of stuff. What I do now, I do to please my King, and because he wants to expand the platforms that I'm on. So I'll go with what it is that the Lord said. But I realize it's like I don't have a type, but yes, there is a certain look that a man has that y'all know me, and I'm not going to say it, but it's just I get all geeky, funny, happy because there it is, and it's not what people would think, And the only thing I've ever asked as far as build is concerned is to be bulky enough that if you have to support me, I don't break your bones. Because, I'm super skinny. And I was married to a man that we were like a zipper and a zipper and a dot or something, because I was round and he was very straight. And he was really, really skinny. He was skinny. I never felt physically comfortable with him because I always felt he was fragile. And that wasn't something for me. It was my own insecurities. I don't blame him. That's I don't think that you can put that on. I know people do, but I really think it's what would be the word, throwing or projecting your own insecurities on somebody. Do I have a certain look that I like more so than anything else? Yes, I do. Of course I do. I was created that way. And so I tend to but God already told me whoever I end up with is younger than me. It's not probably a lot of years, but so when they tell me their ages, it's just because they do. Some want to know mine, some don't. I typically say none of your business. It's very few men that I will actually tell, but older men know. They know us. They reckon, your age group of man, they know you. And they know you more not by how you look, but what you say. It's the phrases, it's the way that we act. And I also think that in a sense, it's what they feel comfortable with. It's like that girl's from my era, whether I forgive me, I'm not insulting anybody by saying that girl. My era, it is girl. Today you can be you could be his woman, but if you're his woman and he calls you his girl, we won't even go there, Lindsay Lee. You'll behave. It's a good thing. Okay, so and if he puts B in front, baby girl. Ooh, yeah. So anyway, those are some of the things. But everybody has a different one. So is it a yes or a no, Jenny? Because Jenny's husbands, I called them Starsky and Hutch, both really handsome men. They look like the guys from that Starsky and Hutch. One was blonde, one brunette. Both of them really good looking, but Jenny's gorgeous. So it doesn't. I mean, he doesn't have to be gorgeous. He can be regular. I like cute more so than anything else. If I say he's cute, he got my attention. Let's see if he can keep it. But it's like. But I call everybody something. I don't have a negative about anybody in terms of that. Shut up, Lindsay. Stop talking. Stop talking. Interrupt me now, please. Please help me.
Well, since you described them, I was going to say no. I don't think I do have a type because, the polar opposites. I mean, of German descent, fair-haired, blue-eyed, to black-eyed, dark hair, dark skin. So no, I don't have a type. I don't think it's no. I don't know, because I was trying to think if there was any similarities and anything about them that attracted me to them, and no, they're nothing alike. So, no, I do not. How about you guys?
Oh, this is a round robin question.
No, it doesn't have to be, but I'm going to respond to your camera ready. That's a part of people. I have to explain that because you set me up. That's so wrong. Camera ready had to do with, we were talking about this. And I said, you never know, because I was talking about the fact that I would most likely be doing talk shows and things for quite a few years. And it'd be nice to be with somebody that was camera ready. Camera ready did not have to do with how he looked. It had to do with the fact that he wouldn't wander off the scene and do, the things people do that we see on Zooms all the time. So thank you, Latasha. So she got me back. Okay.
That is right. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't, okay, the question was, or for comments are about typical, edgy. It's got to have an edge. It's got to have an edge. That's all I'm going to say.
You sure you don't want to expand on that? I think everybody wants to hear more what you have to say. Is there a type? Absolutely. Because, we're walking. Some people are just going to blend into the scenery, and others are just going to stand out. It's like, oh, yeah, that's it.
You know what's good about that, though? We're not talking. I mean, attraction is there. You can act on it or not act on it. And there got you, girl. You can go on, but we're not talking about the sexual attraction. we're not. That's going to be there. But for me, the hots for that comes from the conversation, not from the appearance. It's not the appearance. It honestly is not. It's what he says. And that's all I'll say on that. But I never said what kind I like. I just said that there is a type and you all know it. But I'm not going to say what it is because I'm just not going to do that. I'm just not going to
I
do
will
that.
say the most attractive, and we did have this conversation, but I find what's most attractive in a man is a man who loves to pray with you and read that word. There is no better, I'll say, turn on that attraction than that. A man who loves the word and that will just read it with you, and like you can talk about it and pray and has a passion for that. I just find that to be very attractive. Very attractive.
A passion for the kingdom of God is the thing.
Yes. Yes.
And knows what he's talking about. That's very good. Okay, I'm done now. I will leave it, Michelle, or somebody rescue us. We're almost done. We have 8 minutes, and we are in deep waters now because one thing that we're trying not to do so that we don't sound like huntresses is getting too much information out there. But anybody that's watching, if you guys have questions or comments, this would be a good time to rescue us. Yeah, really, we'd be okay with that. No, we're not actually in a tight spot. I just think it's funny because I will put it this way, we're so dangerously close to the conversations that we have off stage, you know, in the studio and or around my fireplace or wherever we happen to be. And what we've learned as single women, especially, Michelle guards her marriage. She will give you the bits of it, but what happens between Ryan and Michelle is between Ryan and Michelle. And we are in that area where we don't give out the information that promotes counterfeits. We choose to be transparent. We choose to be honest about who we are and what we like, but we're not putting signs out, you know, that simply say, well, we're just not putting signs out that say, this is how you catch me, or this is how you get, because frankly, I can't speak for anybody else, but I have no interest in being hunted. Not one, I've been hunted. Those are predators. I will shoot you on sight. Okay, that's a threat. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. I'll shoot you with words. I'll say things. I'll shut up. But you hear what I'm saying? No, I will call on God. I will call on angels. I will call on help. I don't want another predator in my life ever again in terms of being in a relationship with one or being hunted. I don't like it. I'm not prey. I am a woman of God, a woman of the kingdom of God, or a kingdom woman of God. And I am a wife. And my husband will recognize me, and the rest of you just stay back or he'll take care of it. That's all I got to say on that one. So
I'll chime in here in what we're trying to discuss with you all and share with you all. What we've learned over the years, we've heard from a world's viewpoint, but these conversations we don't see happening regularly in the kingdom. And so it comes with a different oil on it, because we are kingdom women. What is real 21st century women. So we are sharing with you what it's like to be a kingdom woman of God, and actually discussing the things that for some reason people don't want to talk about. And so a lot of times they think these feelings are not only supposed to be subdued, but bury them somewhere until you get married. And so that's not the case. So these type of conversations we're having are just to let the rest of us out there, whether married or not, what it actually is supposed to be like. And the conversation, it is a conversation that needs to be had, and not with any fear, not with any reservation of being looked upon in a negative way. But even with questions, there are things some people want to know because it was never said or told to them. And so now that we're walking in the kingdom, there's light being shined on many areas, and this is one of those areas. So again, as she said, if you have questions, then ask those questions. But this is why we talk about these things, because these are things that we did not get the privilege years ago to know, okay, I can talk about this, and who I could talk about it with. So these are things that are that we get to have and say, well, thank you, because I was wondering and I didn't know if I could say it. Well, this is that time. You can.
That's good. And on the other side of that too, part of the reason we're having these conversations is because each of us needs to consider the things, those lists that we made before, those uh, things that we could or could not live with or without, that had nothing to do with the kingdom of God, that had nothing to do with God's vision for us. And so, without condemnation, we want you to consider, what list have you got? Because so often these things, we've had them for so long, they're subconscious. And we're just giving you things to think about, to bring these things up to your consciousness, because a lot of these things have to be torn down before you can even think about moving into a kingdom relationship. And let's be honest, that's all any of us want. Anything less is unacceptable. So have fun with this. Think about it. It's
delicious. It is. Taste and see the goodness of God. It's delicious. Go ahead, Tasha. You had something.
I was just saying, these conversations absolutely frightened and terrified me. And I couldn't, if you asked me these questions 2 years ago, I wouldn't know how to answer them. I'd feel so uncomfortable. It has been 2 years of just self-discovery. And I will say it's freeing to be able to have the confidence and to be on here and speak. I'm not desperate. I'm not seeking, but I can tell you exactly what I want. I'm not going to tell you what I don't want. I'm going to tell you what I want, because I know what I want, and it's okay. And I think it's beautiful for men and women to have that confidence and to be free, because you'll get what you attract. What you want, speak what you want. Yeah.
You know, of course, I have to do something corny, because I just thought of the Betty Boop song. It just made me the way she said, I'm not going to tell you what I don't want, because I want to be loved by you and nobody. I want to be loved by you alone. Do it. Okay, anyway. I want to say this. We're at our last 2 minutes, and I am so proud of you. I'm proud of you, ladies, because this was not where it was, and Crystal was missing, and Leslie and Anita. I talked to them, and I talked to Anita, and she had, she couldn't be here tonight, but she had some thoughts on this, and she was also very excited because there have been breakthroughs. And I honestly think that it's because we made the decision to do something that is, I don't find this comfortable either, not at all. But we made the decision that as we're ending this program in this 2020, at the end of 2024, that we wanted to manifest as women of the kingdom. Will any of us be married? We have no idea. We're not. Oh, well, Michelle will be, but we're not trying to, to do any of that. All we know for sure is that we intend to be free and whole, and walking in the strength of the kingdom of God and manifesting the things that he desires. That's what we know. The rest of it, we don't. And we're not trying to make any of that happen. And for that, I'm very, very proud to and thrilled and honored to be with you all and the other ladies as well, to be on this journey where we're pushing to be what God has said, and moving past the kingdoms of this world to really manifest the kingdom of our God and of his Lord, of his son. And so I want to say thank you to you all, and to those of you that have had the comments that are coming or will have comments after, if you're watching this on a on a rebroadcast. I also want to invite you to go to love-unity.org to check out what's happening. It's a brand new website. It looks really good. And to be able to find out what other programs are on Kingdom First TV. The upcoming Convergence is in New Jersey. I think it's about closed out now because it is on the 21st, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, which is next week in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. Michelle and her husband will be there. And there are others that will be there as well from the Loving Unity movement. So we want to encourage you, if you get that opportunity to join in there in New Jersey, go to the website and find out. There's other broadcasts that are coming. If you want to give into this particular one, then we invite you to do so. You'll find out that information on our Facebook page. We typically do roll it, but sometimes we forget because conversation gets going and stuff. Anyway, also, I am tomorrow on my broadcast, Kingdom Conversations. It's going to be myself again, Party of One. We rescheduled some things because I'm going to continue on teaching this introductory part about the kingdom of God. That's my passion. I want to thank you. I want to thank my beautiful friends because you ladies really, really, you make me want to cry. I love doing life with you. And I love the way that we do what we do. Michelle, outstanding job tonight. Thank you for leading the conversation. We really appreciate it. And that's really all. So on behalf of Michelle, close us out because that's not my job tonight.
Oh my goodness, she really threw the hot potato. On behalf of Latasha, Sochi, Jenny, and Lanzine, I am Michelle. And remember, as Lanzine always tells you, you're not just designed, but you're divinely designed. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.